One of the most important things that any NFT project can do to push people into buying at launch is to build excitement, right? And that might sound really basic, but there's a lot that goes into building excitement around your launch. And in a sea of NFTs, it's in your interest to do everything that you can to get a leg up, to build that excitement, to get people to want to come back and buy from you, which is exactly why I suggest putting a whitelist into your pre-launch strategy. So today, I'm going to walk you through what a whitelist is, why you want to use it, how it works, and some of the best practices for getting the most out of your whitelist campaign. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a metaverse marketing strategist, and this is the best place for you to learn about the metaverse, NFTs, and how to market it all. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment and let me know if you've been on a whitelist or what your experience was, or if not, what's holding you back from this. I would love to know and help you out, and let's get started. Okay, so what is a whitelist? An NFT whitelist is a list of people who get a guaranteed mint when the project is released. So what does that mean? Well, if a project is popular enough, that popularity is going to lead that project to sell out almost instantaneously. Just to illustrate this point, let's look at the Red Panda Squad NFT. So they're basically exactly what they look like. It's a series of shoulders up red pandas with a utility that a percent of their purchase is going to go toward bringing endangered red pandas back into the wild. That collection sold out in under 10 minutes to the tune of over 3 million USD. So if you as a buyer were really interested in this project, you frankly had no chance of getting one. But if you were whitelisted, that story would be a little bit different because you were guaranteed a mint. So you wouldn't have to be the guy at the front of the Walmart line on Black Friday, potentially getting trampled on the way in. You have your reservation and you can waltz in to go buy it and mint that NFT whenever you want. Really great user experience. All right, so now let's understand a little bit about why you would want to use an NFT whitelist. Why would you as a creator want to put this as part of your pre-launch strategy? Well, there are a lot of reasons why. And first, you want to build in this feeling of exclusivity. So this is a marketing psychology technique. You can check out this video for a lot more. The idea here is that you're building a sense in that person that this whitelist is special, that the feeling of exclusivity comes with the whitelist, that you are special as a member of this whitelist, which is going to get that person who's in the whitelist more excited, and when it's time for them to buy, they are more likely to actually take action and purchase. Next, it's a way to build anticipation for the project. A whitelist usually indicates that the project release date is coming up pretty soon, and regardless of whether the person who's seeing that is in the whitelist or not, that upcoming release date gets people excited to go make that purchase at the time of launch. That excitement and that nervousness to jump out of the gate and get your NFT at the moment of launch, that's anticipation. It also drives home the idea of scarcity. So if there's a whitelist on a project, that must mean that you need a whitelist on that project, right? As in that project is so likely to sell out at the moment of launch that having a whitelist and being inside that whitelist is the only way to guarantee that you can actually grab an NFT on launch. And that all means that this is a scarce resource, right? Which brings users instinctively back to this balance between supply and demand. The more supply of something there is, aka the less scarce that resource is, the less demand there is for it. And the less supply there is for something, the higher the demand for it. So if the perception is that your whitelist adds to that scarcity factor, makes people think that this is a more scarce resource, you're going to increase the demand. And then the last big psychological reason that whitelists work is social proof. So humans are social animals. The Romans ruled, for instance, by observing that political interest and the direction of the people is aligned. So the mob kind of rules. The way that everybody is going is the way that an individual is going to tend to go. A good modern day example of this is stock exchanges. So a stock exchange is a chaotic business of buying and selling on instinct and emotion. Yes, there are some analytics, but it's almost totally gut and emotions that drive the stock market. And let's be honest, a huge amount of those gut reactions are based on the direction that the market is generally going. We are looking at how the mob is moving and an individual is tending to go in that direction as well. And that's how you see these huge market ups and downs. If you didn't see a mob moving in one direction or other and reacting to that mob, to that social proof, you wouldn't have huge ups and downs. So what you want to do is to harness that social energy to get people to react with more interest to buy your NFTs. And again, the best way to drive people to buy is to show that others have come before. Now, you might say at this point, yeah, but Trent, this is a pre-launch activity. A person in a whitelist has not had the ability to go buy the NFT yet because it hasn't launched yet. And yes, you are correct. But the social proof here is because people are showing the interest in interacting and engaging, that people are wanting to be in this whitelist. As a result of that, other people are following to want to be in this whitelist as well. It's not actually about the overt action of purchasing so much as it is about following where the crowd is going. So if others are excited, you will be too. Simple as that. So now that we've got that why, let's talk about how this actually works, how we can practically do this. And it's relatively simple. There are two sides to the equation here. First is the adjustments to the smart contract, and the second is the marketing of the whitelist. Now, as to the first, I'll keep this relatively short so as to say that you do need to make room for those people inside the smart contract. The only way they'll be able to take advantage of your whitelist spot is if the smart contract knows to allow them to purchase no matter what and reserves those spots for them. But that's where I'm going to stop. You came here to learn why and how to whitelist from a marketing perspective. And if you're expecting programming, I'm sorry to disappoint, but that's not my bag. You are not going to get that. So for now, just understand that this change is going to be necessary and plan accordingly. Next is marketing the whitelist. So suffice it to say, you need people to know that the whitelist exists, right? At its most basic level, that means adjusting the copy and incorporating it into the methods that you're already using to market your NFTs more generally. Now, if you want to understand those general aspects, I would suggest watching this video. What I think is more important to know right now and to figure out is the rules of the whitelist. I know that that sounds really boring, but the rules actually are the marketing here because your goal is to keep people engaged and excited about your launch. And the rules are there in service of that goal, believe it or not. Cool, so let's go through a few rules that you can implement to get people excited. Some standard rules are often things like join my Discord and follow my Instagram, and those are good. You should start there and you should do them. But on their own, they aren't really that effective because what's gonna happen is that there's gonna be a bunch of people who wanna be on your whitelist, so they're all gonna come over here and join your Discord and join your Instagram or your Twitter or whatever, and then they're never actually gonna engage with you. So you might have 10,000 followers on Instagram, but then you're gonna have like 3 likes on every single post. What did it actually do for you, right? It didn't actually build a community. NFTs, at the end of the day, are all about community. So you wanna encourage that community as much as possible. And a great way to encourage that community is to make that whitelist contingent on the conversation. So for instance, a lot of communities will whitelist the top 10 to 15 most interactive people on the project. This has an obvious effect. It drives a lot of competition. It gets a lot of people interacting so that they can be one of those top 10 to 15 spots, which also shoots those engagement numbers and those metrics through the roof. And as that engagement increases, that mob mentality, that FOMO, is gonna start to grip people as well. And then you can even add one more layer by getting these engaged people to also add their friends as well. So you get more people that get more excited, and that drives that community even harder toward that launch. Win, 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 win. Okay, so now that you've got some idea of how to implement this, let's jump through a few best practices and pitfalls that need to be considered. First, be careful of the requirements to earn the spot. I know I just gave you a bunch of ideas for getting that whitelist on your community's mind, but it's important also not to overload people because everybody has their breaking point and they're gonna need to decide how hard they really wanna work to get on this whitelist. Ultimately, there needs to be a balance, right, between the requirements that you give and some level of attainability for actually getting on the list. Basically, nobody's gonna only devote themselves to this and nothing else. Don't be crazy. Next is timing. So we're looking here at when to start and when to cut off the promotion. When to start the whitelist can be a little bit case by case, but I suggest that you look at starting it after you've already begun community building, okay? So let's say that you're planning to launch in 6 weeks. You wanna start outreach right now. I mean, really, you should have started it 6 weeks already ago, but we're here now. And then 3 weeks in, you can mention the whitelist, and that gets you close enough to the launch that people are paying attention and it'll drive that interest even higher. And finishing the contest is even easier. So you just want to stop it around 4 to 5 days before the launch. The idea here is that you're close enough to the launch for a huge number of people to have participated, but far enough away to make this announcement to get people to understand that there was a whitelist and they missed it, but they can still go buy at the actual NFT launch and give that space for all these other marketing materials before the drop to really take place as well. Next is incentives. So let's just keep in mind here that most NFTs don't get close to selling out. So putting people on a whitelist just by itself might not be enough to drive more interest. But if you add extra incentives for being on that whitelist, you may actually be able to bump that desire a bit higher. So good examples of this might be people being able to get access to a few high rarity NFTs that are not accessible otherwise, the ability to early or pre-launch purchase this sort of thing, stuff like that. Things that get them in the door a little bit faster, things that incentivize them to want to be on the whitelist. And then finally, make sure to limit the number of spots that you provide. So you might feel tempted to just whitelist everybody that hits a certain threshold. They do all your requirements, boom, they're in the whitelist. But if you do that, you're going to start to remove all of the benefits we just talked about. There's going to be no more exclusivity, no more feeling of scarcity, and social proof is going to be drastically diminished. So if you want to keep that desire high, then making your whitelist small or at the most medium-sized is in your interest. So there you go. That is the best way to think about whitelists. There's a lot to do here, lots to think about, really important thing for you to consider for your pre-launch strategy. I really, really encourage you to do this because I think it's a great way to drive that traffic and that engagement. Let me know if you've been on a whitelist in the past, what your experience was, or what's holding you back from putting this into your own pre-launch strategy. I would love to know. Otherwise, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.